Welcome to episode 4 of MUVE Mondays, brought to you by UfuluChild.com.
Today we're going to be diving into different ways to get free from the mind. So we'll be talking about being present, calming the mind, and the big question of
Who am I?
Get up, everybody move.
Sometimes the mind criticizes our every move. It says we're either moving too fast, too slow, too much, or not enough. In these moments, we may be tempted to invest in the mind's activity. But if we're still, we may come to notice that we have the power to watch this mind activity without the investment. So as you move through life, notice and pay attention to that which watches the mind's activity without the investment. Ask yourself, who is the witness? Namaste.
Welcome back to Move Mondays, where you get answers and solutions to your top wellness questions.
We are not here to teach you so you learn. Instead, we're here to point so that you discover.
So I just want to say thank you so much for everyone that's tuning in right now, whether you're watching or whether you're listening. And also thank you to everybody that has submitted their wellness questions up to this point. We are greatly appreciative. Yes, thank you so much.
Definitely. I'm Soul Expression.
And I'm Tensi.
We are Ufulu Child, and we are freedom seekers.
So yeah, today we have 5 submissions, and so they're all dealing with this whole idea of being present, or of how to maintain a calm mind or still the mind, or the biggest question of who am I, that we always kind of come back to, or find ourselves coming back to at some point in life. So
we've narrowed down the 5 submissions to 3 main topics, I guess. 3 main subjects within a larger subject. And we're going to begin at the end, or begin with the largest of them being who am I question, the most profound question, in my opinion, anyone could ever ask. Who am I? And then we'll move into what it means to be present. And then last but not least, some strategies, some herbal remedies, some mindful remedies to calming what we identify as the mind, or to basically create some space between what troubles you, what troubles us, what troubles the world, and yourself.
So should I go ahead and read just the submission so that we have some context? Number 1 question about how to experience optimal levels of well-being through yoga. After 26 years of practicing yoga, and 17 years of teaching, is still, who am I? If I am divine and infinite, then am I making choices that come from this knowledge, this divine self, or am I making choices from my imbalanced / clouded self? End quote. And as far as their primary goal, we can derive from that they're trying to come to a space of knowing and discernment.
Yes. Knowing and discernment you just made me so excited, because discernment, is is one of your great powers as a human being, as you are a part of the human family. Doesn't matter who you are. Discernment between not really and yes, definitely, without question. Real loosely speaking, right now. Basically, am I making choices? Okay, she says, am I making choices from the divine or something lesser, something you may identify as not the divine, not the almighty, not the vital force for all of life?
And how does she know?
Well, that's exactly how you approach this situation. This situation doesn't come from book knowledge, understanding, academic study, or even many meditative practices, because a lot of times when we sit down to meditate, we try to meditate on something. We try to either manifest
Or
something,
visualizing.
make something else dissolve away, visualize, like she said. But we hardly ever question who is doing this visualization. Who really wants this thing and wants to manifest this thing for the future? Who wants to dissolve this thing from the past?
This is like a complete paradigm shift on how you view yourself and your surroundings.
False identification. Moving from a space of false identification, what does that mean? That means identifying with I am a part of, or I am the cause of
label,
my troubles, or the world's troubles even, and I am participating in that, or that these feelings and thoughts are me. The mind is me, when all of that is false. And I hope no one minds me speaking quite frankly here. All problems, all issues, all trouble is of the mind. 100%. And when you look at the question of, if I'm divine, am I making my choices based on divinity? There's some unsureness there of what to identify with. And that's something that's very common. One, there's nothing wrong with you. Everybody, including us, sort of bounces from identifying with this to identifying with that to identifying with this, and that. And the practice, what do I want to say? The approach, the path moves you further away from what you identified with yesterday to identifying with something not new, as in it wasn't here the whole time, but something new maybe to the mind, and
something within yourself that maybe you hadn't taken the time to notice and really
sit with,
feel out.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't marinated in yourself in a way. Oftentimes we identify with, I'm a woman, I am
a wife,
black,
I'm a husband, I'm black.
Exactly, and that's all that we are. And we just leave it there at that level of identity. But this is where all of the troubles and the problems come, because we forget, or we don't heed the other part of who we are, the infinite side, the that aspect of ourselves that connects everything.
Yes.
A broader sense, a boundless, something that's not bound to our bodies or to our personalities, to our identities.
Now, if I can maybe dive a little deeper into something you just said that I'm sure probably went over some of the viewers' heads, is identifying with the body. How do you open and close your hand in words?
It just happens. Your hand
It's like
somehow unfurls and your fingers. I mean, if I were a doctor, I could probably spew off a ton of things that will happen on a
right, first, second, third. But how do you do it? How do you grow your hair?
These are the questions.
How do you beat your heart?
Is it happening to you, or are you happening to it? Is it voluntary? Or is it involuntary? Does it just happen with you saying, "I'm going to beat my heart right now," or is it more so of a just something that happens without your say or without your intentional controlling it?
But this is the body. This is mine. This is
me, right? This
But-
is all I am, right?
but no, this isn't even 1% of who you truly are. And the way I like to come across these inner knowings when it comes to this subject. Now, you won't come across this subject in a school. You won't come across, unless it's a very specified school, you won't come across this topic talking amongst your friends. Definitely not at work, because in a busy society, no one has time for themselves. And I can say that, I can attest to that. In the busy world, when I identify with I'm busy, I don't have time, or I feel as if I don't have time to do what I call self-inquiry. And it doesn't mean self lowercase s. It's self-inquiry. So I'd like to bring our attention right now in terms of this question to, if you don't mind following me, and keep in the back of your mind, my previous question: how do you open and close your hand? How do you walk across the room?
How do you breathe?
How do you breathe? How do you beat your heart and stuff like that? So I want you to follow me and hear me out. In any holy book where God speaks, God says I. The devil also says I. The angels, when they speak, if they speak of themselves, they say I. And of course, we, every day, say I. And when we say I feel, I am, I this and that, I comes before everything verbally, because I comes before everything, period. And what do I mean by that? Well, when you wake up in the morning, you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that it was you who were sleeping, right? So I wake up, and then as I'm sort of in that in-between state of coming to the waking consciousness,
Still a little groggy, but
something is watching me get more and more awake.
something's aware of it. Mm-hmm.
It's all good. As a matter of fact, if someone tries to interrupt your process or speed up your process of waking up, you might tell them, "Wait, I'm not awake yet. Wait, I'm still waking. I need time." Something knows that you need time. In the mornings, you may want to sit with this thought. Same thing. Let's say someone on their last bed, on their deathbed. Some people say that they watched, or they watched, so they didn't say it afterwards, but they say that they are watching consciousness fade. What is watching consciousness fade? Another way to maybe go about this is when you look at who is breathing, who is beating the heart in this body of mine, and you approach it with I don't need to know, but I need to discover. I need to sit with, be with this force that is my life force, a question you could ask yourself is, what do I do it for? Is there a purpose to me beating my heart? Is there a purpose to me growing my hair and all of these things? And you start to peel back instantaneously with this question, who am I? Really all these questions stemming from who am I? Layers that you've identified as yourself instantaneously start falling away. Thank you, yes. And anything to add to that?
So the root of this is, with this question of who am I, it's not something that is a concept or a belief, I believe, or a thought. It's something that transcends all of that. It's something that you discover. It's something that you have to experience yourself. So, what we can do is demonstrate, or if you're open to it in this moment, you may be able to discover your inner knowing the answer to that question of who you are in this moment.
Mm-hmm. And as it relates to the body, first, starting off, what we would do, if you're comfortable, is close the eyes and notice the natural awareness of the body itself.
Just a natural breath.
There's a presence that we physically feel, but in our inner space that we identify as my body. And watch for a moment just the natural awareness of this body and this presence. If there is a position that needs to be changed or altered, you will do that very, very naturally. Don't force any movement. Try to be kind of still without force, but just relaxed. Notice the awareness of the body. Watch the natural, unforced patterns of your breath. Leading into a meditative state like this, you may come to your senses as to leave the mind with this short exercise of, what do I smell? What do I see with my eyes closed? What does it actually look like? What sounds are around you? What do I taste? What can I feel? Just the very natural awareness of the senses and of the body and of presence. Notice that the senses work without force. And further back, notice that your attention to the senses doesn't need to be forced either. Notice everything that is happening without your doing. You do not do in this space.
It just is.
Each moment will pass with no effort. In fact, it always has. Each thought, each feeling comes and goes of its own accord. There is nothing to follow of the mind in this space. Nothing to hold on to. No one does work to be aware of awareness itself. And I don't want you even to try to do nothing. Not even that. Just simply be present. Who is watching this awareness? Does this awareness have a shape, size, color, or form of any kind? Has this presence that we are discovering today ever not been here? Did it come from somewhere? Can it?
Oh, it's always now.
Can it leave? Is it?
It's always now.
Is it subject to time? Now, this space is not something you want to hand over to your mind and your thoughts. Just be here. Be now. And if you are able, drop being. Welcome to yourself. And with these type of noticings, these type of witnessings, these type of being aware ofs, exercises, there's no reason to ponder them. Simply watch, simply listen, simply taste.
This brings you back to
A troubleless place.
the present moment. This reminds you of your own greatness. And you may feel like, well, if I am this vast space, this boundless whatever thing that's everything, then what do I do with that? What you do with that is you sit with it.
Yeah.
You just allow it to be there. In this space, this is the space, the seat of everything that there is, everything that will be, everything that has been. Because they all come out of the same root.
They all come out of the same you.
The same you. And there is no difference in actuality between this piece, this inner space and everything that you see outside your body. All of this is really one. Oftentimes we only identify with the body, with the mind, our thoughts, our emotions, our personality, and when we lose sight that we're actually everything, that's when we experience the problems. That's when we experience conflicts and hardships. These things aren't bad. They're just
Well, our
another
conditioning,
way.
yeah, our conditioning from early age, and everyone calling you by your name and saying, Tensi acts like this, and some, when you're younger, that's not you, Peter. You're acting like John. That's not you. All of these things are remembered, and they go into our conditioning that follows us or follows our mind, as we're speaking clearly now. That follows our mind through the duration of our life, and there's nothing wrong with that. As a matter of fact, it is the mind and the troubles and all of that are the actual vehicle to
Come back to center.
coming back to center.
Coming back to the present moment.
One last note before we move to the next segment is I want you to maybe notice this, ponder on this if you feel the need to. This is something you can think about. Only fear says that I want to control what happens next. I want to control how people feel about what happened last. Whereas the self, the presence, says, I want to watch it all unfold like a movie. I want, and it doesn't want, I'm using inaccurate language, but the self says, tap into the essence that this is all happening within. Okay?
So these next two submissions are dealing with being present.
Yes.
So this next one, this person says, I work full-time and teach. My biggest wellness challenge is basically really how to grow, how to maintain a regular yoga practice as a teacher, how to advance my own practice. I'm always rushing and not really present. I have a lot to get done in one day, to include time with my 4-year-old that is meaningful. I have to grade papers, create lesson plans, plus my teacher union work. I'm just stretched, and I am always behind. So their overarching or primary goal here is, in quote, balance in life as well as flexibility, discipline on and off the yoga mat, mindfulness, slowing down, and of course I want to hit certain poses and pat myself on the back when getting there. Since this submission was so similar to the next one involving being present, I wanted to also read that one as well before we delve into our strategy explanation and such. So this next person says, in quote, for me, it's just showing up and being present, checking in with and honoring where I am at, which is a struggle. So their struggle is showing up in terms of for themselves and being present in the moment and honoring those feelings of, okay, I may need some more time, I may need this, I may need to just come back to center real quick, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah.
So those were the only two ones about being present.
So you want to honor where you are. I say that is necessary, but it is secondary as well to honoring who and what you are. And I say that with love because the only reason why we may ask those questions is because we have accepted the false identity of I am my feelings, I am my mind, I am my body, I am my choices. When no, it's more simple than that. I am. Choices come and go. Thoughts come and go. Opportunity comes and goes. Struggle comes and goes. Even joy and peace and things like that come and go. But you, the self, has always been, always will be. And so dealing with these two questions, how to be present when I have all of this running around to do, or when I'm doing all of this teaching and then I'm tired around my 4-year-old, or I'm busy around my 4-year-old, things like that. It's okay to drop all and literally drop the identity of I am a mom, or I am a brother, or I am a pilot, while or I am a teacher, while also noticing that dropping those concepts from within doesn't take away from how much you love, what you want to do in terms of your compassion, and how much you want to involve yourself in spending quality time with self or loved ones. When you're asleep, someone may identify you as those things, but you are just the isness. There is no action, there is no judgment, there is none of that when you are in deep sleep, in the deepest sleep, where there is not even any dreaming going on. You are just the isness, and you don't identify with the body at all. Yet you're still here. You wake up and you're still here, and you still watch consciousness arise in the mind and body, and in the body mind, as I like to call it, and in the space that you're in. And these things just help point to all the troubles are in the mind. And if I could clarify what I meant by the mom comment, because that may have come off a little strong. Like I said, please forgive me if I speak a little frankly in this episode. But the problem doesn't come from I'm a mom and in it of itself. It comes from I'm a mom and a mom should. I'm a pilot and a pilot should. I'm a teacher and a teacher should. Or this is what I know about a teacher. Or I'm a good person and a good person should. When you are able, when you are open to, and you are able to recognize and honor the fact that just I am, period.
We see ourselves in two different ways most of the time. Most of our lives, I guess. So we see ourselves as the dynamic person that's moving through life, and I have the schedule, I have to do this, I do this, and I this is who I am, this is my personality, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, this is what I judge, this is what I don't judge. But sometimes there's like all of this, there's the moving, the interacting piece that has the awesome experience of being able to interact with different elements of this
life.
Whole experience of life.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the aspect that is neutral, that is just allowing of everything, every possibility. There's really no space between these two. these are happening simultaneously out of the sameness. Whenever we find ourselves in life just going through the motions, or just trying and going through our habits, our own beliefs in a way that we feel like we're not on time, we're not getting stuff done like how we want to get it done, we have so much to do, so many thoughts, we want to do this and this and this and this, and there's no possible way that we can. Oftentimes those beliefs that we have that, oh, I don't have enough time, I can't do this, I need to do this before I can do that. These limiting beliefs that we have are helping to shape our experience as dynamic human beings. How our brain works is shaped around beliefs. Like literally our DNA expresses and re-expresses itself based off of what we believe and the habits that we have formed as a result of these beliefs. So when you say things like, I'm always rushing, habit. I don't have enough time, habit and belief. I
want more time, habit and belief.
Whatever you're saying, I need to spend more time to assess where I am right now. You really, whenever you come to these spaces of just pausing and observing your inner space, like how we did with the exercise earlier, in that space there is none of that. If you feel it within yourself, you can ask yourself, okay, so do I still not have time in this space? Just ask yourself, just challenge yourself by inquiring of yourself. And oftentimes you'll find that all of those wants, needs were really elusive, and they're not there anymore in that space.
What's beautiful about it, if I may, what's beautiful about it is that, okay, I am always rushing. You immediately can say, well, what is thinking that thought? What is pairing always rushing with I am? And when you look for it, when you sincerely look for that thing, that force, if you may, that says, I am not enough, or I am not doing enough, or I do not have enough, ... They immediately fall. All of the troubles immediately are not there. And just like the now, just like the present moment, the eternal now, as one of my favorites, Alan Watts, used to say, there is the eternal self, which really is synonymous with the eternal now, that you always have access to because it is who you are. And there is no trouble in the eternal self. This isn't a push to just think about self, because the thought is not you. The mind may try to take some words like this and, oh, okay, I get it. That's pretty nice, but that's selfish thinking. And all of these thoughts, don't just take your mind, put it to the side of you for a second. It'll be there once this episode is over. And really, sincerely, and calmly inquire, well, what is pushing back against this peace, this silence, this stillness that I recognize within myself that has never left me? What is the difference between me and you? what really defines another person, i.e., a brother or a sister, as my brother or sister, or my child, or my acquaintance and friend for that matter, or my enemy. What defines an animal or a tree as different from myself? Really, 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 really take these questions to not to a place of pondering, but a place of looking, listening, and finding the actual answers out through your own experience. Because one of the things that we touched on earlier, your power of discernment will be a guiding light during these moments of self-inquiry.
I want to add that in these moments of self-inquiry, those moments where you come back to self, you come back to center, these are times that help you strengthen your own intuition, your own inner guidance, to be able to practice discernment more effectively. So in all of your decision making, you are able to know exactly what you need to do. And you may not know it in words, but your body may just start doing it. It's interesting. As far as the question regarding how to advance your yoga practice, this is really the root of everything. So you, apart from actually doing yoga and practicing every day, you can, so you can practice every day. You do like 5 minutes a day at least. But beyond that, if you really, 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 really are serious about advancing in any way in life, whether that's your yoga practice, or if you practice a martial art, or in your career, or in your relationships, etc., it all boils down to this.
Yes.
It all boils down to you addressing these limiting beliefs and habits and identifying them and coming back to center, in the sense that you realize, oh snap, all of this is really, it's not substantial. All of these issues, all of this, everything else is not really substantial. Come back to self. Find moments, make moments to come back to self. If this is your priority, then you will do it. And if something is calling on your heart to truly advance in any way in your life, you will make time for this. And in those moments where you're everything's chaotic around you, you will find that moment to reconnect, and you'll find your peace.
Right. Not as though you were disconnected from yourself, but hopefully you get what she's pointing to. We're not trying to teach you anything. Also, when we say, and I agree with everything that you say, also when we say you will make time for this, that will happen naturally. Hopefully this episode of Move Mondays really opens a door that will keep opening wider and wider and wider within your being naturally. Because, like I said earlier, the self-inquiry, once you are in that space, there is no doing. There isn't, we say listen, but there really isn't even a listening, because one of your other great powers besides discernment that belongs to you is attention. And as your attention shifts or relaxes, you watch that happen. You follow what I'm saying? As your attention moves, even as you look at different things in the room, or as you watch this and you notice, oh, her hat, I like her hat. Their shirts are green, whatever. You something is watching that attention shift. Something is watching when a thought and a feeling becomes loud or intense within our being. Something watches our attention move to it. And every time your attention moves, ask yourself, what is making that happen? What force is driving these movements? How am I opening and closing my hand? All of this is all related to the same basic question: who am I?
All of these tools of eating healthy, however it's defined, of yoga, tai chi, whatever, qigong, meditation, of different drinking teas, different disciplines, Chinese medicine, African spirituality, etc. All of this stuff, these are tools that people use and pick and choose just to help support their self-discovery. And oftentimes, this isn't something that you just hear one thing and, oh, I understand everything and I got it and I'll never have any problems ever again. It's often a journey, because sometimes we have to convince ourselves that we're worthy of experiencing ourselves more fully, of expressing ourselves more fully, of living in our own truths fully, so that we have to put ourselves through a journey. So all these tools are just here to aid you on your journey if you feel like you need to put yourself through a journey.
You are always doing exactly what you need to be doing. You are always exactly where you need to be.
And as a human being, the ups and downs are just here to
come and go.
And to nudge you into your own discovery, your self-discovery. That's all I wanted to add on that. So we have 2 more submissions, but after reviewing them, they're so similar to the last 2 that I read and that we discussed, that we're just going to include them in the blog post if you'd like to look through them. And we'll also be including some additional remedies in addition to the mindfulness remedies, herbal remedies, digestive, dietary, and restful remedies in the blog post. But really, as I've mentioned before, the root of this, of everything, is really in the self-inquiry, the self-awareness, practices, coming back to center. And then everything else is just sprinkles. Everything else is just further support.
Do you want more information? Do you want more Ufulu Child? Well, please make sure you join the VIP list to stay updated on what we may have coming next.
Also, join the movement.
MUVE stands for?
Moving to unite the virtues in everybody. So definitely do that if you're interested in supporting our Freedom Seeker journey and getting more tools and things for your own journey.
There's a link that says join the movement right in the blog and in the description below.
Also, if you would like to have your wellness questions covered on the show, whatever they are, feel free to submit them. That link will also be in the blog post and below.
So to learn more about optimizing your well-being, please visit www.ufuluchild.com/Kemetic EIO.
Like EIO.
Stands for Experiential Introspective Optimization. All right, Freedom Seekers, repeat after us. I create my own well-being.
I define my own destiny.
I live for freedom.
I am free to be.
And that makes us Freedom Seekers. And that makes you a Freedom Seeker.
We love you.
Peace and love.
Thank you.
Get up, everybody move.